All right, YouTube's up, Facebook's up. All right, hey everybody, it is Lewis Porter Jr. Just getting the last little bit together before we start tonight's show. Moving some stuff around, of course. Oh, it's been a good day, a lot of fun things going on. Let me see if this is even on. It's not. Well, you know what? I think I'll do it without the Wi-Fi, because yesterday we had this issue with the Wi-Fi, so I'm not going to do that right now. Boom. All right. So, is this better? Is it freezing up? Oh, no, now it's playing. All right. See, little technical issues you got to deal with before you get your show started. It drives you crazy, but it is part of what we're doing here. Well, first of all, everybody, it is today, September 22nd. Oh, that was 21st, 22nd today. It's Thursday. Tonight, we're going to be doing another cool little, I call it a lighter show, but it's still got a lot of cool stuff, but a little bit of a lighter, fun show. This, of course, is going to be my show, talk about Canadian TV shows. Hey, Jeff, what's going on? Well, let me tell you some other stuff going on so people can, we're going to get to the TV shows in a second. So for those on the New Exodus front, we just sent over the final PDFs to the editor. This is the ones that are basically laid out, done. He's going to check for any major mistakes. And once I get back from him, we're done. That book is ready to print and go out to people as PDF. And then, of course, print for real and print on demand and get the books out. And you can get your copies in your hands. And I'm hoping to do this as soon as possible. Joshua's working very hard on this. I know he's got some other stuff he's working on, but he knows, he knows how serious this is. He knows when it's due back. So, I have total faith in him. So that's going on. What other fun stuff is going on? I have the Heroes Lab stuff. Hey, David, what's going on? The Heroes Lab stuff, it's still going through. We're still deciding what we're going to do about payment and stuff like that. But I think that's going to be going out much sooner than I expect also. So that's a good thing. For all those who are worrying about Crisis, yes, Crisis is basically taking a backseat to New Exodus to get it out. So, let's be honest. The due date for that isn't for like several months, and we're done writing and editing on it. So it's just like get art and layout, but layout's mostly done already too. So it's like just get art. So like I said, all this stuff is moving along very quickly in a good way. It's moving in the way we want to. By the way, I have a question I put up at Pathfinder RPG on Facebook. Just some thoughts to get in your head for later. Maybe you guys can help me out with this. I've been watching a lot of video online at YouTube about pandemics and things like that. And I'm like, well, how would you, and the question I came up with on Pathfinder was, how could you, how could you have, good Lord, a pandemic exist in a fantasy setting where the world with remove disease spells? So that was kind of a big thing. But it's like, how do you have a pandemic? How is it possible that you can have a pandemic on a setting like that? How would it be different? Because, I always say, immunity really kind of says like, oh, if you don't have to worry about disease, it's not a big deal. Not everybody, mummy rot, you're afraid of it, but, hey, I'm immune to disease. It's one of those kind of things. I think, oh, look at that. I didn't check out yet. Oh, that's a good idea. See, thank you. See, that's what's nice. When you ask people questions, they give you good answers. You can get answers back and forth and get the cool stuff. I always appreciate that. So that's good. So there we go with that. So just check that out. Michael McCarthy sent me, he wants to think about doing some updates for the Protean Scribe, which I think is a good idea. So I think we might be doing that too. So we'll get some more time in between that. Also, we might be looking at a new artist to do some artwork specifically for the Patreon project. Having seen some of his art, I really like it. I won't be announcing until it's official and we shake hands and do all that stuff. But once it gets it out and boom, you see it, it's going to be awesome. I think you'll be very happy at the quality of the work. I think it's amazing. It's going to be some good stuff. His monsters are awesome. People didn't excite me that much, but the monsters he did are awesome. So I was like, yeah, I gotta hire this guy. He's awesome. So there you go. And of course, tomorrow at 8 o'clock, not at 9, 8 o'clock, we're going to be having our interview with Eric Mona talking about comic books and maybe some Pathfinder stuff and maybe even some like Living Campaign stuff. We can talk about those days. A lot of interesting stuff to talk about. I'm all excited. So today we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics. A lot of people don't know, and if you don't know, it's kind of surprising, but if you don't, I'm a huge, hey Sean, I'm a huge fan of Canadian TV. And when I say Canadian TV, I don't mean like shows made in Canada, like Battlestar Galactica or Supernatural or X-Files. I mean shows that are actually made in Canada, specifically for the Canadian market, and then possibly have leaked over to the U.S. and been brought over. Thanks, James. It's very nice of you. It's shows that are really Canadian in nature that just happen to leak into America. And I guess I'll change it up since I had to order. I was going to talk about stuff, but since I'm talking about it, I've got to change the order. And what really kind of changed it for me, the show that really got me interested in Canada in any way, shape, or form. Because everybody, if you don't know, I have a love of Canada. I don't know why I have this love of Canada. I'm American all through and through, mom and apple pie. But Canada itself has something I like. I don't know what it is. Just something about it feels cool. I went to Toronto as a small child. I loved it. I've never been to Vancouver. I'd like to go. I'd like to travel. I'd like to do a lot of things in Canada and just check out Canada. My dream is to basically do like con season. You know, when everything takes off in this company or whatever's going on, that I can spend like a month or two in Canada during the summer, just traveling from place to place to place to see the entire country and really get a good experience. You know, if you're going to go on a trip, go on a real trip. You know, like a couple months worth of trips. So that's the dream. So the first show that ever got me into like watching anything in Canada was the infamous, I'm sure like every American, the infamous Degrassi. I saw Degrassi when it first came out, the first season. I saw the junior high stuff. It was, it was a great show. It was a great show. I loved it. I still think it's one of the best TV shows ever done for, I say kids, but it really wasn't for kids. It's like for young adults, kids, teenagers. I think they did everything right. I think they understood how to do everything right. I think they talked about really good shows. I'm talking the first series. We're talking the late 80s series. That series was amazing to me. Some of the most awesome ideas, and they talked about everything. Nothing was taboo, which I thought was great. They talked about, being gay. We're talking like late 80s. So like, still very, very taboo. Suicide. There's just a lot of great shows they did. And they didn't, and it was like all the kids were not like American TV shows with kids. Every kid on American TV show is beautiful. They're stunningly attractive. Everyone's beautiful. No one's ugly. No one's even like slightly overweight. They're all like models who stepped out of something. Canada, no. We're going to give you real people that look at all different shapes and sizes, all different colors, all different everything. And, they've done a great job. And even when they brought Degrassi back in the early 2000s, I thought that was a great update. And I liked how they connected the stories together. I thought that was a brilliant way to do it. And, I loved it then. I mean, those first 4 or 5 seasons are probably the best. I personally think the best. The whole, even if you're going to go with it, the whole Jimmy in the school shooting. Great. I mean, you never see it in America. In America, that was never shown in America, which was kind of disturbing at the same time, but it was never shown in America. And the other one was about the abortion, never got shown in America for a long time. It finally got released in the U.S. And it was kind of like this whole, the hypocrisy of it all makes me laugh. It was just like, oh, we've got to save the tender emotions of Americans who, don't understand school shootings, even though school shootings are going on, and like why it happened. And there are repercussions for it, and there are long-term repercussions for it. And just like I said, just a well-done show from those first 6 seasons. As I got a little older, get a little longer in the tooth, became more of a traditional show, but still kept some of its roots. You can also find it now available on Netflix, which I saw the most recent season, which is another solid season. I got to see another season of excitement. And like, look, I'm 47. I'm still watching the show. If I could ever do TV, I'm telling you right now, if someone says, okay, here's a whatever $1 million or whatever, I'm going to do something like Degrassi in the U.S. That'll probably be, if I can get that dream, I'd love to. That's an amazing show. If you haven't seen it, you should check it out. It's great if you have kids, young teenagers. I think it's a good show. I think it's good to watch. I enjoy it. It's one of my favorites. And so that kind of started the ball rolling for me. The next show I'm going to talk about, it really is an awesome show. I refer to it constantly like this, but it is the Canadian version of The Wire. And everybody knows how I feel with The Wire. I think The Wire, if you don't know, Wire is the greatest show ever made, ever. No one can beat The Wire, and nothing can beat The Wire. Nothing is as complex, amazing, well put together as The Wire. Intelligence does a great job. Intelligence is a very basic, well, it's not a basic idea. It's just a cool idea. Hey, Alan, what's going on? Yes, it's the shirt I sleep in. That's why I wear this shirt 2 nights a week, Alice. That's why. I don't get all fancied up. It's my sleeping shirt. When I do none of this, I go to sleep. Well, I say I go to sleep, but I really just go in my room and play video games. But I digress. So Intelligence is a show that basically starts out like this. And there's a 2-hour first episode. Basically what happens, there's two sides of the story. There's the cops and the crooks. The crooks is run by a guy named Jimmy Reardon. He is like the largest marijuana producer in Vancouver. And the cop side, Mary Spalding, is trying to start their own covert intelligence agency in Canada, kind of like CSIS. If you don't know what CSIS is, people, that's the Canadian version of the CIA. Or the CIA? The CIA, yeah. So she's developing a small to basically combat Jimmy Reardon and his drug things. Well, one of her main head guys has all the covert files of all the people, all the things, all the notes, all the information, everything they've got on every drug dealer since the beginning of time in his like folder. And it's basically this cop's researching this information. He stops at this store. I can't remember. It actually stops at a liquor store, gets out, leaves the stuff in there. Someone breaks in the car, just random drug hit, steals the stuff. Boom. The case gets gone. It's a whole horrible thing. This guy's basically almost getting fired. It's crazy. Well, during like a couple, it's the move information who's here, it winds up in Jimmy Reardon's hands. So Jimmy Reardon's got all this information, all this intel about all his enemies and all this stuff, and he decides to do something even crazier. He goes to the lady, Mary Spalding, and says, I want to become an informant for you guys. I want to work for you guys. And she's like, okay, we'll have him work for us. So they're both trying to play each other. Like he's trying to get information out of the cops so he can beat his enemies, and she's trying to get information about him so he can take to other places, but at the same time get stuff about him. So it's back and forth, a lot of back and forth. And Jimmy Reardon's got a lot of issues with his personal family going on. Like his ex-wife hates him because she's a drunk and a crazy psycho girl, and she's awesome. The girl that plays her is she's done a lot of Canadian shows. Something else you'll know about Canadian shows, a lot of people appear in different stuff over and over, but she's great in it. It's just a great show. The backstabbing, the spying, the betrayal, and even like the U.S., how the U.S. gets involved. It's very funny how they talk about. There's a couple scenes where the U.S. DEA agents come up there to do something. I don't want to tell you and ruin it, but it's like they're talking about like how can Americans just come over the border and do all this stuff, and it's just a lot of that kind of stuff. Plus, you learn about I would say the high-end side of finance with drugs and how they move the product and do stuff. It's very, very interesting. I said it, so it's one of my favorite shows like this. So if you're a big fan of that kind of stuff, check out Intelligence. You can't go wrong with it. It is a great show. It is a thumbs up all the way. You will enjoy it. I think it's still available on Hulu, and I don't think it's available on Netflix anymore, which upsets me. But I think it's still available on Hulu that you might be able to see it for free, which I don't even know anymore. It's been a while since I watched it, but I found copies of it, BitTorrent years ago. I saved it. I add it on my computer so I can watch anytime I want. So it's readily available for me to watch. But watch Intelligence. You're gonna love it. It's awesome. It is awesome. Moving on, the next show that if you haven't watched this show and you're a science fiction fan, let alone a time travel fan, let alone I would say tree hugging hippie, you have to watch this show. It is one of the best science fiction shows I've seen in a very long time. Sci-Fi was nice enough to carry it for a while to put it on TV for Americans to see. If you haven't seen the show from the beginning, you are missing out. You must watch it. It is readily available on Netflix, and that's Continuum. Continuum is probably one of the best science fiction TV shows I've seen in a decade, if not more. The premise is so simple and so easy and so well done for a show that deals with time travel. And it just gets better every season. It gets so better every season. It's like they just keep adding more and more cool stuff and just more and more interesting stuff. And it's just a great show. If you've never seen it, you should really check it out. It has drama. It's got science fiction. I mean, in the first episode, about 30 minutes of it's in the future and the rest of it's in the modern day. And how it sets itself up is really interesting, and how they even set up the villains are very interesting, because it's like, I don't want to ruin it for you because it's that good. It's like the villains that start at one position and they end in a different position, but it all makes sense. That first season, the first season is balls to the wall, goes all out. It is awesome. It's one of my favorite shows. The action scenes are awesome. It's the actors they pick are awesome. And it's very believable, and they do something. Well, I can tell you this part. It's not a big thing, because the main character is Cameron. What's Cameron's last name? I can't remember. Cameron's last name. Kira Cameron. That's why. Uh, she has a suit. It's basically it's like a body suit, but it's also a very high tech suit that gives her weapons and shields and camouflage, and it's got this cool gear. So when you first meet her, she wears a lot to the series, but then it gets damaged and she takes it off, and then you get it working as a police procedural, but still a lot of very impressive sci-fi elements. And the sci-fi stuff never ever goes out of it, but it isn't all like ray guns and stuff like that. If you're a huge fan, I think you're gonna like it. I think you should check it out. It is awesome in the area of science fiction. I mean, yeah, man, they really, and for a small budget Canadian made show, they do an awesome job. They do some really awesome stuff. So I'm like, yeah, man, this is just love it. Continuum is a great show, very much ahead of its time, and the ending of that show is I'm not gonna say perfect, but it's why time travel is dangerous. You find out what the last episode. It's brilliant. It's brilliant what they did. I love it. So there you go. Another one. Check it out. Must check it out. Find it online. Find it at Hulu. Find it at Netflix. You're gonna love it. Another show that I don't even know if it's even available on Netflix, and it should be. The premise. Well, a couple things. The premises of it is great. You're going to see a couple of early actors in it. Actually, I got to remember. I know you're going to see actually some potentially future stars. I got to make sure exactly who I think makes the appearance. I thought made it. Now I got to go to the other one. Jesus. All right, so let me tell you about the show. The show's called Regenesis, and this was a show that came out in the mid 2000s. And basically, let me read you the actual blurb, because it actually helps to describe it. Genesis David Sandstrom is the chief scientist at a prestigious virology, microbiology, NORBAC lab. And it's kind of a joint enterprise between U.S., Canada, and Mexico, countering bioterrorism. And that's all it is. It's bioterrorism. And it's awesome bioterrorism, because it's like cool ideas you never thought of like this, and matching up this and that. Just a lot of great ideas. And it's also very terrifying. If you don't know, if you're not into bioterrorism, I kind of am because of video games and stuff like that. There's a lot of like just weird stuff that you don't think about that they do like very, very, very well. Like disturbing. A lot of people who appear on the show are well-known Canadian actors and actresses. Ellen Page makes one of her earliest appearances on this show, and even watching the show, you can see how good she is. Like I said, there's a lot of just Canadian people you've dealt with. It's if you watch Canadian TV like I do, you're going to see a lot of people. I totally forgot about this. Stephen Amell, aka Green Arrow, makes one of his first appearances in this. It's one of those kind of shows. A lot of people, as usual, you go to Canada, you shoot there, you become popular, and then you come over here, and so yeah, a lot of people who it's a great show to watch. It's got a lot of twists and turns. It is brilliant on the science. How many episodes? It's like 52 episodes. Yeah, it's like 13 episodes. They're in 4 seasons, I believe, if my math is still right. Yeah, 4 seasons from 2004 and ended like in 2008. Just a lot of great ideas in that. So I can't suggest it enough. And the ending is the last season is twisted. Season 3 is like my favorite, but they really just we're gonna go all out for season 3. So they give you a lot of really great stuff. Regenesis, you can, of course, everything will be links on the bottom or on the top, Facebook, YouTube. You can read it. You can go link to them, find some more stuff. I can't say enough great things about it. If you have not watched these shows, you should definitely watch them. They are awesome. You will be happy watching them. Regenesis, another one, worth every cent. The next show I'm going to talk about is a show that only lasted 1 season. And, it was a great show. I wish they would have shown more. They should have shown more. It was a great idea done well. And it was a very typical, police procedural, but done in a very different way. Let me read you the quick blurb. This is what makes it kind of interesting. But the season follows a fictional former world chess champion, Balagan, that's his last name, who's a genius and analytic skills he uses to solve crimes. But the cool thing is that so the show starts out 4 months after the death of his fiancée, Rosemary, who basically gets killed right in front of this hotel. He develops agoraphobia, so he can't leave the hotel. If he does his massive panic attacks, like he's going to die and he falls out, it's really kind of like, what the? It's very crazy. So he's trapped in this hotel, and he's got to basically make a living, and he can't leave, and he basically starts solving crimes for there. Now it sounds like you're like, dude, that sounds kind of weird but interesting. Hey, John Lacko, what's going on there? It's a great show. You should watch it because it is a police procedural. You've seen it a million times in the idea that it's a police procedural, but the execution is so good. And how he does when he's thinking out ideas in his head and how they present it in TV for you is brilliant. There's some really great ideas. I watched the show for the one season. I was so pissed they didn't get a second season. I still can't figure out why they couldn't get a second season, because the show is great. It's a great show. And the funny part is, to me, it's like, this is the type of show that feel-wise, and I think some people probably get this, it felt like a show that belonged to be on CBS. You know, it's like, it's interesting, and it would have had a fan base of a little older crowd, even though it really wasn't an older crowd show, but it just would have that same kind of feel. And it's just another well-done show from Canada. Only lasted one season. And it's like, oh, and it's, the series ends on a cliffhanger, which is like, oh my God, man, why did it not get a second season? I still don't know. And then there were rumors that it was going to possibly show up in America, and then it just never happened. It never happened. It was so upsetting. And it's once again another good show developed in Canada that I guess couldn't find its fan base. And it's like, wow, this kind of show that I watched it, I'm like, this would have done America. This would have done well in America. This would have done very well in America. People would have liked, I think they would like this type of show. They wouldn't have seen this type of show. And it probably would have gone on for a long time. I mean, even if they didn't mention it was in Canada all the time and they made it very American, it still would have been an awesome show. I think so many people would have watched it. Hey, Delta. And so many people would have been, onto this show. Just a good idea. Just a good idea. Well done. Well executed. And God, love that show. Loved it. This might be my final one. Depending how long this one talks, I talk on this one. All right. So as much as I love Degrassi, I love teen shows anyway. I think they've done better. They could do it really well. One of the ones I think they did very well, considering it had so much to live up to, was a show called Edgemont. Now, a lot of you guys are like, okay, I've never heard of this show. No, you probably won't. But when I tell you what's going on in Edgemont, I'm gonna reveal some interesting things where you're like, oh, really? So Edgemont was a show that it ran from 2001 to 2005. And it's very much revolves around the everyday dealings with teenagers in Edgemont, a fictitious suburb in Vancouver, Canada. Okay? Another kind of Degrassi show. Ran for 5 seasons, 70 episodes. A very standard teen kind of show. Well done. Very cool. What made I guess Edgemont I thought was interesting, because I got onto it after it came out. We're not going to talk about Gilmore Girls. We're not. No, Alex Dreer is, and of course I do love Gilmore Girls. Don't ask me why. Just let it go. So with Edgemont, what made it kind of interesting is that a lot of the actors that appear in Edgemont go off to be, I'm going to use the word stars, and do decently well. Like the main character, Dominic, I can't even pronounce his last name. His last name is spelled Zamprogna. I'm like, dude, I'm not. No. Zaproniga. I'm molesting his word. He plays the main character of Mark, and his girlfriend Jen, like the main two characters. And this new young hot girl comes to this because it makes it a love triangle. Well, the new hot girl that comes in is Kristen Crook from Smallville, who played Lois Lane. Lois or Lana? Lana. Jesus. Played Lana. Lana? Lois. Lana? Well, you know who. So this is like one of the first shows she appeared on before she became, Miss Smallville, that whole thing. And she's very good on the show. She plays a very cold, ice queen kind of girl. And you can see, she was actually really good in this. I always thought this is a good start for her, good show for her to start on. You can see, having seen Smallville, why it was a good choice for her. I still think leaving Smallville was one of the worst decisions of her life, but I'm gonna let that go because I understand what happens. But that was just one of those kind of things that was not up to me. Another person that you all will probably remember off this show came Grace Park, aka Boomer from Battlestar Galactica, playing Kona on Hawaii Five-0. She started on the show also. Yeah, a lot of people have made appearances on the show that are like very big in Canada and like very big sci-fi people. done that. She plays Shannon Ng, a very super highly religious girl who finds out later that she's gay, and that was another storyline that was actually kind of interesting. And just like I said, they did a lot of just cool ideas and very, very teen-like and that kind of stuff. And, they had a lot of couple people coming in and coming out. Jessica Lucas, who I always laugh at Jessica Lucas. She's one of those actresses that can't seem to catch a break. She's another Canadian girl who gets on she does a lot of pilots. She does a lot of like one-off, one-season shows, but can't seem just to get over the hurdle. So it's one of those, it's like it's one of those shows that if you watch it, you know what it is. It's gonna be a bubblegum show. It is what it is. But it's also 30 minutes. It's not like the US who has to do an hour-long teen show. Like, oh, good Lord, man. Just do the show quickly. And, they just do all kinds of interesting shows. And just, it's a good, solid, another teen show to watch. It's very fun. I enjoyed it a lot. It's a solid show. Boom. What can I say? I like it. I like it. If you don't like it, then tough. But I like it. I told you I like teen shows. Why were you surprised? So that was it. The last show, since I got like a couple minutes, the last show really is technically not a Canadian show, but I'll add it because I thought about it and I was like, you know what? I should talk about the show because it is kind of important. All right. This show initially started in Japan and then went over to the UK. And I watched the UK version for a while when I was BitTorrenting and stuff back in the day. And this show, the Japanese show was basically like called Begging for Money. And that was like the premise. But then eventually it got to the UK. They changed the name, and it's the same name they use. It is not Kids in the Hall. It's the same name they used in the UK that they use in Canada, and it's called Dragon's Den. Dragon's Den basically if you watch Shark Tank, you're watching Dragon's Den. It's a Canadian version of it. Kevin O'Leary and Robert Herjavec were on the Canadian show for a very long time. I think Kevin was on for like 8 or 10 years, and Robert was on for 6, and then they left to go to the U.S. show. It is an interesting show if you like business. We got a lot of business on this show. So if you want to hear how business is actually done in a legitimate way, people pitching ideas, and it's interesting because in Canada, apparently they're friendlier in Canada. I mean, those guys are friendly. Kevin is still Kevin. He's rough. But it's not as, it doesn't feel as rough as like when I watch like the Europe, especially the UK version. The UK version of Dragon's Den is like the most brutal business show I've ever seen, and it's just like, oh, the Brits are horrible. They're just horrible people. Just the way they talk and they're laughing at you. You're basically begging for money. See the Japanese name, begging for money. So it's just a horrible. It's like geez. But you learn about business. You learn about negotiation. You learn about that. I think it's a very interesting thing to watch. And like I said, if you're a fan of Shark Tank, you'll like Dragon's Den. It's very much the same kind of mentality, same kind of mindset. You'll like it a lot, but you will learn a lot about business. You'll learn about strategy. How much is your business really worth? Talking about that kind of stuff and just negotiations. It's a great, great show to watch. It is Canadian made, but originally from somewhere else. So there you go. All the shows, like I said, will be listed will be, of course, down below and above. These are all great shows to watch. You'll be thoroughly happy with any of them. If you're gonna watch something for a while and just drift away, I would say do Continuum because Continuum is great. If you want something a little shorter, if you want to do Degrassi, you can do all those. You can find those. It's like so like 21 seasons of the show put out. So over 500 episodes. So even of the new show, not even the original, but just the new one. So you can find shows on it. You can find tons and tons of shows. So that or Intelligence. I think Intelligence I can keep watching over and over and over. I could probably watch it again even tonight, but I'm not really doing much. But yeah, these shows are great shows. They also have a lot of good inspiration for ideas. So definitely check them out. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of Canadian TV, and it's just once again proves my love of Canada. I don't know what it's about. Maybe it is the mapleness. I don't know, but I think you will be very happy watching these. I think you will, you'll find some new shows. Like I said, if you watch TV as much as me to get ideas and just see cool stuff, it is great to see like how many actors Canada. Apparently, Canada, since it's not it's about the size of the U.S., but doesn't have as many people. John. Continuum went off after 4 seasons, and the end was awesome. They ended it like it should have ended well, and it was awesome. And yeah, I don't want to ruin it for you, but it's been awesome. So I think it's still available on Netflix. I have to check that. But if it's not, check Hulu. I know it's still online. You can find it. It is a great show. Can't say enough things about it. Awesome, awesome show. All right, so tomorrow, only seen half of these. What? Only half? Jesus, come on, David, get it together. Get it together. Yes, there's only 35 million people in Canada compared to the 300 million in the U.S. So, but I said once again, Canada has some really cool shows that you always don't get to see in America. If you can find, sometimes they put it online. You can watch stuff. It's good sometimes. The other problem is, sometimes like Showcase, which is one of the big channels in Canada, will let you watch shows, but they'll prevent it before you are. You can change your IP if you know how to do that. You can change your IP to be in Canada so you can watch it. I think there's just great stuff to watch. I think I don't understand as a fan of watching TV while Netflix doesn't grab a lot of these things and just put them online for people to watch, because I think people would find them interesting. I mean, I found them interesting. Intelligence is a prime example. I just wish they would, because Intelligence ended on a cliffhanger, and a great cliffhanger at that. So it's like, oh, geez, how do you end a show this good? And then you find out later there might have been, some issues with the politics of the show and how Americans were portrayed. Yeah, it's just really all kind of awesome. So, like I said, I loved it. I thought it was great. So you should check it out. I think you'll be extremely pleased. All right, tomorrow we're going to be having Eric Mona come and talk to us about comics and all kinds of fun stuff. So if you're here, it's instead of 9 o'clock, it's going to be 8 o'clock. So swing on by. Me, it's going to be interesting no matter what. I'm going to talk about some crazy stuff, but I'm going to see what stuff we can talk about, how cool it can be. So it'll be fun. It'll be enjoyable. It'll be different. It'll be interesting. And we're going to talk about all kinds of stuff. Ta-da! So that's what's going on there. Next week, of course, will be a whole new week, all new stuff. We'll see what's going to happen on Monday. But, of course, it's always interesting. So come on by tomorrow. And as always, if you enjoy our channel, I will not wear a different shirt, Alice. I will wear the same shirt over and over just for you. There might be some drool stains when I slobber at night, but I probably will not change the shirt. That's how I roll. So there you go. Don't let it fool you. So I think we've got that. I don't think we're doing any cons this weekend, but we might be. I don't think I'm doing any cons. I'm actually going grocery shopping. I'm not going to block Alice, Mr. Lacko. I understand. She's a troublemaker, and I'm used to these things. Trust me. I've had crazier videos than this. Much, much crazier. All right, everybody. Have a good night. Oh, as always, go to our YouTube. Or down, up. Go to our YouTube link. Subscribe. We are 5 people away from our 200, so I'm all excited by that. So we're going to get 200. I cannot wait. I'm hoping we'll get 200 as soon as possible. And as always, please subscribe. This is very, very important. We need those numbers to get some information from you while you're browsing and stuff like that. So I do appreciate that. And as always, you all have a good weekend. And I'll see you all on Monday.